Do you want to learn about data analytics but have no idea where to start? If so, this 7-session definitive guide to data analytics training series is for you. Hi, my name is Brian Amrine, co-founder and principal analytics consultant at Value Driven Analytics, and I'm so excited to offer you this free training series. This is a great course for high school or college students exploring possible careers, or professionals looking to make a career change or step up their career in analytics, or even retirees looking at analytics as a potential hobby. Before we get into the course, I want to share a little bit about my background with you. Even though this course is completely free, it's important to make sure you're getting sound advice from someone with experience in this area. I've worked in the analytics industry for more than a dozen years, across 4 major corporations up to the director level, and across several different functional areas like sales, marketing, finance, and operations. I've built more than 100 data science models, and I've broken into people leadership at 2 different companies. But most importantly, I'm so passionate about training anyone who wants to learn how to develop their career in analytics. At every company I've worked for, and even outside of work, I've proactively led analytics learning initiatives on topics like SQL, Python, machine learning, analytics soft skills, and more. And now, my company, Value Driven Analytics, is bringing you this free, on-demand analytics training series. Essentially, I want to take the fundamentals of my 13 years working in analytics and boil it down to 7 easy-to-follow training sessions. The Definitive Guide to Data Analytics training series is designed to be a fairly comprehensive introduction to analytics. It starts with this very video, where I'll provide an overview of analytics, including what an analytics career could look like, the skills required, an overview of common platforms used, an overview of common analytics techniques used, and some examples of common analysis requests. Then, in the next 5 videos after that, I'll provide an overview and hands-on demo that you can follow along with of several popular analytics tools, including Excel, Power BI, Python, SQL, and even data science modeling. Finally, the last session will cover all kinds of analytics soft skills that are critical to career advancement as an analyst. Skills like leadership, communication, project management, and more. After going through all 7 sessions, you'll have a broad understanding of much of what's involved with being an analyst. And if you want to continue to pursue a career in analytics, the additional resources and homework exercises I'll recommend after each session will provide a deeper dive into each topic. With that said, let's jump in and start your journey into analytics. Welcome back to the Definitive Guide to Data Analytics, brought to you by Value Driven Analytics, your source for rigorous, affordable, and fast analytics consulting services. I'm so excited to get into our introduction to analytics today. It's primarily going to be in PowerPoint, but as we proceed into the next 5 sessions in the training series, we're actually going to get into the tools we're going to cover, starting with Excel, one of the most popular data manipulation tools out there. We'll follow that up with Power BI, which is a great example of an interactive visualization tool. We can take reporting and turn it into an automated interactive experience for your stakeholders. It's great. Then we'll get into Python coding, which is extremely common for advanced analytics and data science. Really important to know that. Also great for automation. Then we'll get into SQL, and SQL is just an analytic staple that's been around for a long time, and it's worth investing in because you can write SQL in nearly every other analytics platform. You really want to learn SQL. Then we'll get into data science modeling, the ability to create predictions and even prescribe what factors might be driving a target variable. It is so helpful. We'll talk about statistical models, we'll talk about machine learning models. There is a lot to learn. This is a hot topic in analytics. Finally, if you want to grow your career, you're going to have to master some skills beyond just the technical skills we just talked about. You're going to need to be a good communicator, a good project manager, even a good leader. And those are skills we're going to talk about in the 7th session of the series. With that said, let's get into our Introduction to Analytics training session. In today's session, we're going to talk about what it's like to be in an analytics role, which includes some of the benefits of being an analyst, some of the industries that hire analysts, what a career path could look like in analytics, and the type of companies that are using analytics. Then we'll get into the skills that, if you're convinced that you want to become an analyst, that you're going to need to actually get the job. Things like having an analytical thought process, good attention to detail, and good communication, and several other skills as well. Then we'll talk about some platforms that you should at least be familiar with if you're going to be in the analytics industry. Platforms like Excel, Alteryx, KNIME, SQL, SAS, R, Python, Power BI, and Tableau. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive on all of these. You saw the 5 platforms that we're going to actually have a dedicated session to, but these other tools are fairly common in the analytics industry, and you should at least be aware of them. It's very likely that if you know one tool in that space, such as an interactive visualization tool, it'll be easy to learn another analytics visual tool in the same category. For instance, if you know Power BI, it should be fairly easy to learn Tableau, or vice versa. So it's good to know at least one tool, and we're going to cover that in the series. Then we'll get in some technique overviews. Analytics techniques are things like exploring and pulling data. That's usually where you start. Then manipulating data. Then building a dashboard. Aggregating and grouping data. Trending data over time. Building a statistical analysis. Building a data science model. And one of my personal favorites, performing an A/B test to really determine what an initiative actually drove. Finally, we'll wrap it up with some example requests that you might get as an analyst and some next steps. Yes, if you choose to accept it, you'll have homework assignment to do for the next session. All right, let's get into our overview of an analytics career. Let's talk about some of the benefits of being an analyst. And as you can tell from this slide, there are a lot of them. First off, people who go into analytics usually enjoy their job. And that can be for a lot of different reasons for each person, but a few of them would include being able to spend your day researching life's phenomenons. You're a scientist in some cases. In fact, popular analytical role is called a data scientist. Another benefit of being an analyst is getting to work on usually a variety of challenges. You're usually not working on the same thing every day. There's a lot of variety. Keeps things interesting. Also, you're usually constantly learning and developing new skills. Even if you're doing using the same tools, but you're doing a different analysis, you're applying it to something different, you're developing that analytical thought process with every analysis. You're building your methodology, your creativity. In some cases, you are learning new platforms and new skills. There's so much opportunity to be a lifelong learner as an analyst. But I will say, be careful, because some people like it so much that it can be addicting. Now, analytics is typically a desk job, which for some people may not be a good thing. Some people really enjoy being outside and enjoying the weather, but on those days where it's raining or maybe it's not so great weather, it's kind of nice to have a desk job. That's personal preference right there. The skill set that comes with being an analyst oftentimes doesn't just come in handy at work. It can also come in handy in your personal life. Maybe in your finances, building a spreadsheet that can help you track your expenses. It could come in handy if you're applying analytics to a sports team that you're a fan of, or trying to automate something. Maybe you're even performing an analysis on your stock portfolio. The skills that you build at work can easily translate to your personal life. One benefit of being an analyst compared to some other roles is the impact that you can have not just in your own contributions to a company, but as an analyst, you get to make recommendations that impact a variety of people. There's a lot of responsibility there, but the impact that you can have can usually scale beyond just yourself. And as a result, at a data-driven company at least, analysts often get to make some of the biggest decisions. It's up to you ultimately as the analyst to recommend what the data-driven thing to do is. And if it's a data-driven company and you're doing a good job of communicating your recommendation, odds are they're going to follow what you recommend. Again, a lot of responsibility. And that goes along with the next point, the next benefit of being an analyst, which is the exposure that you often get to senior executives. You're trying to help them make more data-driven decisions in a lot of cases as an analyst. That's a great development and networking opportunity. Going along with that as well is the high degree of respect that analysts often get. You know, other positions often bring opinions, maybe occasionally some qualitative research, but analysts, they bring the data. And as long as the analyst preserves that trust through accurate, robust, integrity-driven analysis and reporting, an analyst work is often taken as fact, and it takes precedence over opinions at a data-driven company. So there's a great deal of respect as an analyst. In addition, there's usually no shortage of career opportunities. Demand often outweighs supply of qualified candidates, so there's job security there. And that, if you're an economist, you know that when the demand exceeds the supply, that increases the price. And yes, an analytics role usually comes with a solid starting compensation and big earning potential as you grow your career, especially if you become a data scientist or a manager or beyond. There's great potential to move into an executive role as well, especially if you're at a data-driven company. Who better to make those big decisions than somebody who understands the data and can assess when an analysis has been done correctly or incorrectly? If a company's committed to data-driven decisions, it's going to look really good if they can trust you based on your analytics background to be a data-driven executive as well. Another neat thing about being an analyst is that you can easily switch between and go into just about any industry or functional area or discipline. It leads to the potential for a varied career, which certainly many people have. But with analytics, you can have a varied career. You can be in all kinds of functional areas and industries, but still see progression. You don't have to start over whenever you go to a new industry like you might in other professions. Finally, these days there's many remote and hybrid roles available for analysts, which for some people can be convenient, and it increases the number of job opportunities available. So, as you can see, there are a lot of benefits of being an analyst.